Hi, Cancers, and welcome to your April 2023 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about your month ahead. I hope you're all doing really well. Coming into this month of April, we have a wonderful Aries season coming in. Lots of new energy, lots of level ups coming for you, and an interesting series of events for most of everyone in April, as most people are faced either with a bit of like calamity as a result of placing their energy into the wrong places or stories, and also a complete understanding potentially of what things can be spread out over time. So we have an interesting conglomeration of Aries planets this month. We have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and Chiron all coming together in Aries. And coming out of March, there's already going to be quite a powerful understanding about long-term viability in general with any situation that you can imagine in your life. So Jupiter and Chiron comes together, and it kind of really shows the cracks in anything, and it shows where there is like toxins or where there are difficult energies brewing to the surface. And as we see that, we can understand also where they're coming from if we want to dig a little bit deeper, or if we want to see things for what they really are. So it's a very transparent and truthful time if we're the type of people who like that type of thing. Also, if there is fear, or if there is stress or anger, or a suspension of disbelief, it's very possible in the month of April to be throwing the hands up, or to be finishing things very powerfully. Jupiter and Chiron coming together in the sign of Aries indicates a long overdue new beginning. So that's the main thing that I'm actually feeling for you, Cancer, is long overdue new beginning. You have a lot more energy to step onto these new goal spectrums than you understand. So trying to sit with the innermost purpose that you've been feeling is going to be really nice this month, and then starting to craft and create a better long-term plan to make that stronger. There is, I believe, a famous investor, I don't remember their exact name, who says that people overestimate what can be done in 1 year, and they underestimate what can be done in 10 years. So I feel that your long-term planning, Cancer, is kind of like coming to that place, or you might be coming to that place in your own mind where you actually allow yourself the flexibility to do things with time, understanding the way in which time is an asset, understanding the way in which consistency and stability and long-term viability comes together through your choice to generate momentum every day. So I would try to stretch things out a little bit, Cancer. That's what I'm feeling for you. We have Saturn trining you now from the sign of Pisces, so that's going to be really good for building something strong, viable, and powerful. But it's not going to happen overnight, okay? The rewards of Saturn take time to build, and because of that, they're sturdier and they're more stable. So you're going to maybe have two conflicting forces this month. One is going to say, I need it right now. I need that exact dream right this second. I need to be on that path right now. And then you're going to have this other part of you that might be kind of like, actually, if I stretch that out over like 7 years, that could be almost unstoppable. So you can kind of like, I suppose, measure your, I don't know what to call it, like risk quotient or your risk tolerance based on how things are like right this second. Like if you just pushed for it tomorrow versus like a few years from now, that will, I think, be very critical in your choices that you make here in April, because April is like kind of 2023 is one of those energetic gateways where, yes, you can, with all this Aries energy, with Chiron really backing it up as a major outer planet. Outer asteroid is not a planet, it's an asteroid. But it gives it much more weight because of how far away it is from the inner planets. What that stellium does is it gives you the ability to actually do it right now. Like, yes, you probably could just be what it is that you're wanting to be right now, but you have to kind of like think about the opportunity cost of both sides of the equation, like continuing the way things are or changing things right now. What do you lose and what do you gain on both sides of that equation? will be really helpful for you. I keep getting pulled towards this Nine of Swords and the Chariot in your reading, and we want to really move on from this Nine of Swords story. And I understand this dialogue that we're having right now is kind of like in that territory where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what decision to make. I'm trying to like figure out all the potentialities. There's a bit of like future tripping there. And it's maybe not so bad in April because in order to have a good beginning, I feel that we do have to have a good understanding also as well of what we don't want to experience in that new beginning and how we can maybe mitigate or counteract that. So it's kind of okay to be there, I think, for this month, but you want to see that as you're moving through April and going into May, that you aren't so obsessed with things and you just have kind of like a guiding principle, which is, again, is why I'm feeling that the longer term plan is better for you now in this 2023 year cycle, because it gives you an ability to not be so frantically stressed out about like what's coming day by day, because you have an understanding or a general roadmap of what you're trying to do, and maybe like consecutive base camps or consecutive sort of points within that more linear path that make this a little bit less overwhelming. Okay, so bringing this down a little bit, anything that reduces the level of overwhelm, overkill in your life is a godsend this month. And I feel that you really have to meet it halfway. Cancers, like, it's like Cancer all of a sudden has woken up and realized who they are and what they need to do. And it's like you're not like wanting to stand in your own way anymore. So in order to really move with this really special energy coming in, I think that you have to reduce a lot, and you have to make sure that you're also not being too wasteful with energy. Okay, so keeping cramped up in the house, being on the screen all day might feel like a resting type of thing, but I actually feel this is more exhausting to you than being more out there. So you might have to get out there a little bit more, Cancer. You might need to be like traveling more. You might need to be taking more time outside of your comfort zone to reinforce your comfort zone. Okay. Also, this month, you will see that you have better luck in creating new relationships. The Three of Cups, the Nine of Cups, the Hierophant. It could be a very spiritual experience for you to form new friendships during this month of April. And I feel that to be a nice sort of poignant aside for the month of April, is like really getting a helping hand from others, having a friendship come in a new way. But you want to make sure also that that's not covering up this deeper importance, which is the greater purpose and is the plans that you're creating in your life to move through these greater purposes. The way that things are with Saturn and Neptune both now in Pisces, also the minor asteroid of Nessus, it makes things very like endless and kind of infinite, and we have to be really good at drawing up our own maps and our own paths through these storms. Okay, so it is a little bit stormy for you, Cancer, but it is for everybody. You have an advantage because you're a water sign, which does better with that element of storm. But you nonetheless don't want to be flying blind through it, and you also want to see like, if you can imagine, you're like flying an airplane and you can see that storm from many, many miles away. You need to choose to turn maybe the plane, or you need to sometimes choose to not just go through the storm, but to bypass it. And in order to do that, you have to be looking out ahead and not just having your eyes right in front of you. This is why smartphones are such a terrible thing. I'm kidding. They're not all bad. They can do great things, and they're blessings in many ways. But it's kind of like training people to keep their eyes like right in front of them and to be very myopic. And this translates at many different psychological levels. It's the same thing with like gaming or anything that has you with like a computer or a device right in front of you. It makes people very myopic psychologically. And oh no, we're already in the storm. It's too late to go around it. So this is the type of thing that we're wanting to try to heal up this month. Let's talk about your week-to-week Cancers. Week number 1, the Knight of Wands reversed, rooted down by the Hero. Hero. 'Font. Okay, so week number 1, the Knight of Wands reversed, rooted down by the Hierophant. Okay, so week number 1, the Knight of Wands reversed, rooted down by the Hierophant. Okay, so week number 1, the Knight of Wands reversed, rooted down by the Hierophant. with Saturn in Pisces, it's going to deflate a little bit. Some of these like manic frenzies, some of these like things that we were getting so high voltage about, feeling so crazy about, that's going to condense, and we're going to need to rely more on the spiritual charge of our path more than the like flashing lights or the glamorous components or the outfits or the things like that, right? Knight of Wands reverse can mean that there's like a little bit of burnout coming on, or there's a little bit of like maybe you're, what's the word? Not as enthusiastic about things that used to like really send you over the edge and were like everything that you needed. So it's very much kind of like that syndrome that people get where it's like, once I have that amount of money, once I have that relationship, I'm going to be happy. And all of a sudden you get there and we face ourselves. And that's where the Hierophant comes in, that you have to kind of like be willing to connect to the greater spiritual moral of this path and to try to, again, not get so wound up on these very temporary, short-sighted things. The second week of April, Knight of Swords rooted down by the Nine of Cups. Quickly entering a new gate. Okay, the Nine of Cups is the archetype of the gatekeeper, and it is something, some kind of path that you can't pass through without solving the riddle. Okay, it's kind of like Sphinx energy. So you're quickly solving riddles in the second week of April. Also with Jupiter Chiron coming together, that's very riddleistic. So that, again, that's not just you guys, but that's reaffirmed in your tarot cards as well. I feel like there's something a little bit complicated, and that's why we need to be with healthy, sober, clear minds. I've been preaching on that since like 2020. A lot of the spiritual context of what we went through since 2020 came as a result of like really major lack in sobriety at a collective level. And there were a lot of wake-up calls and a lot of things that we could not really, just forget about or just backlog. We had to face things and we had to get really sober really fast. So this is coming in again here with the Knight of Swords. That's because you need to be on. And there is a feeling, Cancer. This is good. This is maybe my favorite message of this reading, though it's pretty basic and simple, but aren't those the best? We need to do better when we're put on the spot. Okay, isn't it wonderful when we have all that time to pre-plan things, when we have all that time to get dressed before the event, hours to have the perfect makeup, hours to choose and select the right outfit, hours to plan that speech, whatever it is that we're doing. How are you when you get put on the spot? How are you when you have to face something that you didn't expect in a moment's notice? This is going to get a lot more prevalent, and I've already been seeing that as someone with pretty substantial Cancer 4th house energy in my own chart. Where sometimes I like glitch out a little bit there too, but I'm getting better at it because you have to in this paradigm that we're going in. And it's kind of like the things that you do on the spot will define more of this success grid that's coming on than the stuff that you pre-plan out. So we can think about that in a few different ways. Like that may be why it's so important to have the long-term stuff really cemented and well. Yes, indeed. So that we can do better with being put on the spot and we have some of the bigger stuff already figured out. But as I was saying, what we do on the spot, what we do in a very quick sense is maybe what we will be tested with more in this coming year or two. So what can we do? Like, solving the dopamine overproduction that most people have right now is a big thing because it gets people kind of like blah, like they're just kind of like there and kind of like staring off into the abyss. I don't know, unless they're on the screen, but I suppose that that's also exactly that as well. So getting there with nature more, paying attention to the intricacy of nature, paying attention to the sensory truth of your experience will help with that quite a bit. In the third week of April, you have the Three of Cups represented by the Chariot. Okay, progress with relationships, progress with the support network, progress. That's a really good combination of energies. for shifting your world, for changing your structures. And the quicker you can do it, Cancer, the better. I mean, I don't want you to rush either, but the quicker you can kind of get like a foundation that just kind of like cyclically works, the better I think that things are going to be. And of course, that is the second major arcana card that you have in your reading this month. So you only have 2 this month, so it's like really potent, whichever ones come up. And again, the Chariot might have you needing other people to help energize something. So again, like the archetype of it is like being in a chariot and it's being pulled, in this case, by the 2 Sphinxes, which have a sort of representation of duality, which we also see with Saturn and Pisces, right? So interestingly, I might select the Chariot as one of the cards for Saturn and Pisces, so that would be maybe a kind of a different opinion than is more typical. But yes, what this means at a deeper archetypal level is like what is pulling you, what is energizing you has to be balanced and has to relate to the duality of life. You don't want to get over invested in one source of energy in your life. So that's very simple to interpret at a more material, mundane level. Like you don't want to push too far into one thing in case it falls through and then everything's gone. Okay, so diversifying your life and your energy spectrum is important, and then kind of like making it more, I suppose, like systemic, so that you have more of a stable energy in your life. Week number 4, you have the 9 of Swords rooted down by the 5 of Swords. Okay, let's talk about that. That's what I've been looking at for this whole reading. So by the end of April, for Cancer, it can, anytime you have a combination like that, it can be either really nice or really difficult feeling. How I feel that is nice for you is in no longer mistreating yourself with an overactive mind, no longer also taking advantage of yourself or making yourself do things that aren't dignified for you. The relief of valuing yourself is a major victory in that week. And just small steps as well. I'm feeling psychically that small steps are fine for that too. It doesn't have to be like everything is fixed with the snap of the finger. It can just be a step-by-step progression. And then you will be moving into May with a lot more energy if you can kind of like dignify yourself and honor yourself with your choices moving forward from there. But let's talk more about that in your extended Cancers. I'm going to talk more about working with those 2 energies, the 9 of Swords and the 5 of Swords, and what they might be meaning, what could be coming up in your life that represents that. And we'll get a central theme, 2 supporting themes, and a significator card to go forward. Have a great month, Cancers. Let's do this extended. It's linked below on Patreon. Have a great month. Bye.